Hello, friend, and welcome back. This is day 14, I think. Yeah, 14 out of 20 subscribed um, radiation treatments. I'm doing well. Um, you can see I got some redness. Um, Funny thing about this is that a little bit like a sunburn. It feels like a sunburn. It doesn't. It's hot to touch. It's and I've got this here. I've got some on the back, and I've got some under my arm. Um, but in a conversation today with my friend who drove me to the cancer center, I just I I said to her, "I'm having a good cancer experience," and then we both burst out laughing because it's so. I mean, who says that? Who says that? But literally, the Hahn Cancer Center at RMH in Harrisonburg, Virginia, is a really good. How would you say this? There's a really good tone. There's a really good energy in that place. And yes, people are going through cancer treatments, and that's stressful and traumatic, and all of that. But they are. I mean, you can't pay somebody enough to make them care if they're not inclined to care. But the nurses and the people on staff and the doctors that I've dealt with are people that care. And it's really been amazing. I am so grateful to be going to a good hospital with a good crew of people who genuinely care, because you can't pay people to care. You can't pay them enough to make them care if they don't already. So yeah, I'm just really, really grateful. Yeah, I have these moments. Now, the funny thing about this is the better I feel, the more easy it is for me to report how well my cancer story is going. When I am in pain or frustrated or really feeling the like complete doldrums of energy, then I'm more likely to be like, when will this ever end? I mean, it's the the reality of when I feel good physically, it's easy to be in a happy place. In a happy place. I mean, I'm in a good place in my life. And Kendra and I were talking about that too. She's in a good place in her life right now. I mean, we're two middle-aged women. Um, and I'm living in the house that is a beautiful home, that we're actually intentional about this house. I mean, this is the house we chose for reasons, and it's a really good fit for us. Xavier's work is going well. He's a pipe organ builder, but in recent years, he has done this pivot to taking care of a client's Rolls Royce because he was on a road trip. Our client was on a road trip, and someone pulled out in front of him, and it completely destroyed the front right hand side of this beautiful old Rolls Royce. The car, I don't remember what the make and model, I mean, what the model and year is, but we call her Clemmy. And beautiful, beautiful car. Xavier has spent probably about a year and a half restoring it so that you can't tell that she's ever been wrecked. It is literally impossible to tell. Um, so that was kind of a change for him. But what it has meant is that uh, our clients are no longer churches, and churches have committees who make decisions slowly and often pay very slowly. So instead of that kind of world, we are dealing with clients who don't have to ask permission to spend money on their cars, and they write a check. When the bill is due, they write the check. And so that's really feeling very different and a little bit lovely for us. So it feels like we're in a good place too. So I echoed what Kendra said, that in a we're in a good place in life. And then, cancer kind of came along and was a little bit of a curveball, right? And at the beginning, um, I mean, because how this started is I knew I had a lump, and I had lumps that kind of came and went. So I didn't really stress about it because I'll find a lump. I mean, because over my life, I had found a lump, stressed about it, and then the next time I went to check and see if it was there, it was gone. So I had learned not to take it too seriously. And then there was a point where it wasn't just that I could feel a lump, I could tell that there was a depression on the side of the breast. So it was starting to change the shape of the breast. And I was like, yep, probably need to have somebody look at that. And my mom was in hospice at the time. It was a 2 to 3 year journey for her end of life story. And, that was a pretty intense season. I mean, I really felt like the Lord did a lot in my life in that season. I've learned to know my mom in a completely different way. I don't think it had really ever been as clear to me as it became in those last 2 years that she had a diagnosis that most people don't make it past 50. And here she was at 80 something. And yeah, she was sick and yes, she was dying, but it was an amazing thing that she had made it as long as she did. And so I began to see my mom not as the woman I had grown up with or not as the woman that I knew as an adult, but as the woman who had, unbeknownst to me, been a fighter her whole life and had survived. She had faced down this long-term chronic lung condition and she survived. And I think I gained respect for her that I hadn't had just because, hey, I didn't really realize how much she was a fighter that I never really picked up on. I didn't realize how much that was a part of her story. So it was really cool to see that and to get to know her in a different way. So I'm glad I had a good bit of time there, especially towards the end with her, because it gave me a window into a different aspect of her, who she is. And so, yeah, it's so in that process of my mom's 2 year hospice journey, I realized that I had a lump in the breast and it was my choice. It was my decision to go ahead and say, you know what? I think the family's got enough to deal with right now. I think I'm going to just wait. And, and so after the death of my mom, it turned out that I had a doctor's appointment in January. Um, was it? Yeah, it was January, or was it? No, it was January. Okay, so it was January of this year. They sent me immediately to get a mammogram, and then and then the ball starts rolling. And pretty quickly, I was scheduled for a biopsy. No, I was scheduled for a mammogram, and they found the lump, sent me to imaging, and what is his title? I think he not a pathologist. There's a different title for him. I don't remember what the doctor's title, but he was a little short guy with a bald head, and he said, "And we're going to do a biopsy." And immediately I had this internal reaction: "You in what army?" Because when a man looks at me and says what he's going to do to my body, I'm going to have a reaction. I mean, I think a lot of women would. And so it turned out that I did have a biopsy, but it was my choice to do it. I could have decided against it, and I chose to do it, and I'm glad I did. It was the right decision because immediately then we knew the kind of cancer that we were dealing with. We knew that it was HER2 positive. We knew that it was an invasive kind. We knew where it was. So yeah, that was, and I know I keep saying this, but it's because it's true. The biopsy I expected to be really excruciating and horrible. And it's like I was telling Kendra earlier today, in my life, compare the different kinds of pain to period cramps. And so far, nothing in this journey, in this cancer journey, has even come close to what period cramps were like. So I'm still like, I got this. This is not so bad. I made it through however many years of period cramps. And, it just puts hair on your chest in a manner of speaking. I don't, not so much, but yeah, it's, yeah. So the biopsy was not nearly as painful as I expected it to be. So that was good. And it really did set us up for knowing what we were dealing with. And so the surgeon laid out a path for the future of my treatment, which we have followed. The only change has been that the first surgery in the armpit to do the biopsy on the lymph nodes led to a seroma, which is a pocket of fluid under in there that needs a way to get out of the body. And we did a number of punctures, and they kept filling up. So then, when it was time to go ahead and do when first round of chemo was over, the first batch, um, along with the partial mastectomy, they took out the seroma, and in that part, that's when they discovered that there was more cancer in the lymph nodes than what they had found in the initial. I mean, they already knew that there was cancer in the lymph nodes. So then we did the third surgery, which was to take out more lymph nodes to get cancer. And so that was, yeah, that was a good, that's gone well. Now, I think the hardest part for me was so far has been the drain. The drain after the surgery that I had for 50 days, that I think really challenged my mental health a few times. um, and chemo, chemo is exhausting. But as far as like pain and like I had nausea, but I didn't have a lot of vomiting and throwing up and that kind of thing. So it wasn't as hard as I expected it to be. And with radiation, I think the biggest challenge. Now I'm still only on day 14 out of 20, so I'm in the third week. I'm coming down to the end of the third week of radiation, and it's the effects of radiation, from what I've read and understand, get more in. They kind of bloom after the treatment itself is over. The stuff is still working in the body, so I'm still on the front end of all of that. So it could get really uncomfortable here, and I'm as okay as I can possibly be with that. Um, I think one of the things that I have struggled with is that I gained a lot of range of motion after those 3 surgeries in my armpit that made it hard for me to get past this point with my arm. And in order to be in the radiation, you need to be able to do this and hang on to the posts that are on the board above your head. And so I gained a lot by having a excellent physical therapist. And so that's been hard to lose some of that again. But thankfully, I do believe we'll be able to go back to her and make some progress all over again. I'm touching this right now because my hands are cool and it feels good on the hot skin that is actually bugging me a little bit right now. But again, we're not at this stage. We're not talking about pain. We're talking about um, annoyance. It's a different kind. It's just annoying. So it's very low level compared to some of the pictures that I've seen. Yeah, we're at a very low level place right now. Okay, so that's day 14 out of 20. We are getting this behind us. We are indeed. If you are going through this, I just want to let you know again and again and again, and just remind you that when we think about these things, when we think about the upcoming treatments, it's very easy to assume that it's really going to be awful. It's going to be traumatic. It's going to hurt. It's this. We're going to, we kind of get into this anticipatory pain kind of place. But I think one of the things that I've really found that helps for me is just to not think about it. Don't dwell on it. Don't let your, because my brain will be like churning that thing out like, it's on a loop. And that doesn't help, So the biggest thing is just trying to stay busy with my mind on other things, think about other things. And even to the day that I went to have the drain removed, I was just really specific on the way there that I was going to think about something else. Now, I wasn't avoiding it. I wasn't avoiding dealing with it. I was just choosing to have my brain in a different place so that I wasn't ruminating on it. And ruminating is a really cool word that just means that it's like chewing the same piece of food over and over and over again and all night long instead of swallowing. And, at some point it's good to just swallow or spit it out or something, because, yeah, that's probably a pretty strange metaphor for that, but it's getting on the hamster's wheel and not getting off. That's what ruminating means. and it's not good for your mental health to try to do that. So here is your sign. And I just yeah, I just want to remind you that leave a comment, let me know what your diagnosis is, let me know what you're dealing with, let me know how you found this video. Are you going through radiation? Were you looking for what were you looking for on YouTube when you came across this video? Let me know about what you're going through. You can also check out my blog, which is shenk.blog, SHENK dot. Instead of .com, it's .blog. So BLOG. You can check that out. And that's a lot of the story along the way. And I think one of the most interesting things that's documented there is my hair journey. Because when I started this, I had long hair, the longest hair I've ever had in my life. So yeah, the hair journey, I think, was a really interesting part of the story as well. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to look at the conversation with Kendra today that I'm having a good cancer experience. We just laughed and laughed because, I am working at going through the treatment. Obviously, that's why we're here talking about radiation. But I'm also really just trying to keep my spirit open so that the healing that God wants to do in my heart and my spirit, that's a part of this process, that can be something that I intentionally enter into, so that I don't necessarily want to come out on the other side of this as the same person. I don't want to go back to normal. I want a new normal. I want a new life. I want to, I've gained actually a lot of faith and a lot of sense of God awareness in this journey, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that at all. So I am not here to say that cancer's been good for me. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that through this journey that I have felt the nearness of God, that I have felt healing in a variety of ways, and just really am kind of amazed. Just really am kind of amazed. Yeah. So have faith. I mean, um, it's going to be, I was going to say it's going to be okay. I'm not sure. It may not be. I don't know your story. And I'm stage 2. You may be coming at this from a completely, fighting a very different beast than I'm fighting. And so I can't tell you how to feel. I can't tell you how to live. And I wouldn't be like, you have to this, that, or the other thing. All I can say is that you're not alone, and that there are people out here who care for you. And I I want, yeah, leave me a comment and let me know how you are. I will pray for you, and I will just remind you that you are in God's hands. Okay? Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Leave me a comment and let me know what your story is. Okay? Thanks. I will see you tomorrow.